Hello, welcome to Spring 2022, and you are in one of my classes. I may record this again for my other class, but right now you can see that I'm recording this for CISP310. What you're seeing here is the syllabus. This is my syllabus for CISP310, and we're going to go through that, um, you know, before class. So that's why I'm recording this lecture. Section 1 is about course information. There should be nothing surprising to you other than the student learning outcome is not usually published, but it is required in the syllabus to list all the student learning outcomes. The prerequisite of CISP 360 with a letter grade of C or better can also be met without taking CISP 360. You can also file a challenge. But anyway, if you see that in one of the activities I'll show you later, if you see you have 1 point already, that means you have met the prerequisite requirement already, and there's nothing for you to worry about at that point. Alright, so we're going to moving on to class information in section 2. This is the lecture is section 18004, and there are two lab sections associated with this lecture. The lecture time is from 5:30 to 6:50. These are all in 24-hour format. And then the first lab with the section number of 18005 is from 7 to 8:20, and then the second lab, which has a section number of 19812, is from 8:30 to 9:50. So I am allowing people to use both lab session, to finish their labs. The lab activity the lab activities are designed to be finished in one single lab session, but if some people need more time, hey, you can use both lab sessions. This is a full semester class, 16-week class, and because everything is synchronous, we also have a final exam during the final exam week. So we'll talk about that when we get close to the final exam. But the final exam time is according to the final exam schedule of the ARC campus. So you can search for that information pretty quickly, even using Google. My personal information, my first name is Tak, T-A-K, last name is Onyo. You can call me Tak, you can call me Professor Tak, you can call me Dr. Tak. One thing that I do not like to be called is just Professor, because that is very impersonal, so I would much rather that you just call me by my name, okay? Tak is fine, okay? Dr. Tak is fine, Professor Tak is also fine. But, I would much rather people do not just say, hey, Professor, because, that's kind of impersonal. My email address is auyeunt@arc.losrios.edu, and then my office number is 916-484-8250. If you call that phone number, you will be leaving a phone message, and that message will be forwarded to me by email as an MP3 attachment. My office hours are on Mondays and Wednesdays from 11 to 12. On Tuesdays and Thursdays is right before class, the 1 hour before class, and then on Fridays it is from 9 to 10 a.m. Office hours are fully online this semester, and I prefer to do it over Discord. You can either use the general voice channel if you don't mind other people listening in, or if you want to, you can also direct message me using text, voice, or video. I can do any one of those three. You can also screen share, so you can show me what your screen looks like, and while you're doing something that you want to ask questions about. I can also Zoom, even though that is not my first choice. I can do Zoom as well. The presentation delivery method is explained here. Course content is delivered via the following methods. Reading material, they are already linked in Canvas. So if you just read all the linked material in that specific order, that's how we're going to go through the class. So you can read ahead of the entire class, pretty far if you want to. There are not really a whole lot of video clips. Occasionally, like this one, I might record something, but most of the time it's going to be live. It's going to be fully synchronous. This is a synchronous class, which means we're going to live stream lectures, and I will also be online during the lab sessions for people to ask questions. And there are also interactive activities. They're mostly Canvas type of activities, even though later on we might have something other than that. The section 6 is regular effective contact and communication policy. To stay in touch with me, you can utilize the office hours. You can email. You can also message me. So there are plenty of ways to get in touch with me. The expectation of time frame, the turnaround time, is 24 hours during a work week and 48 hours outside of a work week. So from Monday to Friday, it's going to be around 24 hours. So it's going to be a turnaround time of 24 hours, and then over the weekend and holidays and so on, it's going to be 48 hours. For accommodations, and I notice that, so for accommodations, you will have to contact the DSPS department, which is the Disability Services and Programs for Students department, and you need to let me know about accommodation requirements as early as possible, so that way I can plan ahead of time. Now, if you have a note taker, or if you have a person to transcribe my voice into text, or if you have a sign language person, a sign interpreter, that person, you should let that person know about the Discord and also the YouTube, so that that person can join us in Discord as well as watch the YouTube live stream. And that makes it very easy, for a person, a note taker or an interpreter, to help out other people. Individuals who have not already contacted the DSPS, I cannot accommodate those people until they have a form that is signed off from the DSPS department. So here's the information about the DSPS department, physically, by email, and also you can visit their homepage to find out more about the DSPS department. Session 8 used to be a really long thing, when I was writing it out myself, but now I just refer to the college expectation of behavior and conduct. This does not mean that you can just say, yep, I know where the link is, and that's it. You probably want to actually open up a new tab, go there, and then go through all of the items listed here. So they talk about misconduct and discipline, academic dishonesty, plagiarism, other types of dishonesty, disciplinary consequences, use of cell phones and electronic devices, drug and alcohol free campus, weapons, sexual assault and harassment, demonstrations, posting material, non college person on campus, animals, gambling, hazing, and so on. Obviously, some of these may not apply when you have classes of 100% online, but it doesn't hurt to kind of go through every single one of these items. The instructor's policy, that's me, my policy, is to be consistent with. I scroll it down because I realized that my face is actually blocking some of the text. The instructor's policy is to be consistent with the expectations from the Office of Student Conduct. The instructor reserves the right to report all cases of violations without warnings. So there you have it. And then section 9 also used to be really long, but now I just refer to both the college and academic regulation, and also the district's attendance requirements. So let's go there, take a quick look. Alright, so regulations. It's a pretty big general page, but it does talk about attendance down here. Now I wish they have an anchor so I can actually just link to the attendance part, but they do not for whatever strange reason. So there are a few things that are important. The first class is mandatory, which means people who miss the first class will be dropped, and people who are on waitlist missing the first class will also lose their eligibility to be added to the class. Excessive absences is defined to be 6% or more percentage in terms of the total hours and class time, and that turns out to be about 2 classes. Okay, so when somebody missed the second class, it's going to be 6%, because if you divide 100% by 16, you get 6 point something. And that's why, if anyone is missing 1 week's worth of lectures, that is considered excessive. And this point here talks about non-attendance at first class. So as per Los Rios regulation R2222, students who fail to attend the first session of a class may be dropped by the instructor. So there we have it. Okay, let me close that link. And now there's a little bit of explanation of why attendance is positively correlated with performance and success in the class. And it's not just me talking about it. I actually looked at the data from past semesters. People who attend classes consistently tend to do better than people who miss a lot of classes. Well, a lot means they're still not excessively absent. Attendance by itself does not guarantee academic success, but it is a necessary component. Specific to synchronous online classes, attendance is taken using specific means as mentioned by the instructor, so it's up to me to decide how I am going to take attendance. In a synchronous online class, just having a presence in a communication platform such as Zoom or Discord is insufficient to be counted as being present. So if I just see somebody's icon in the voice channel, that doesn't count. If somebody just posts something at some time, that still does not count. Okay, so I have specific activities for taking role. And then for grading, what is being assessed? An assessment can be a lab activity, a homework assignment, a Canvas activity, a quiz, or an exam. For each individual part, there are some dimensions of assessment. So what is being assessed, okay, 10.1.1, talks about how prior knowledge and recall is not one of the things that is being assessed in this class. Well, I just realized that I misspelled assessed. There's one extra S in here, so I'm gonna fix that later. So the reason why knowledge and recall is not important in this class is because everything is open book, open notes, and open web. Well, I mean, live interaction is not okay, but you can still use Google to look up information. So I just feel that there's no need to test whether people can recall knowledge. So instead, I focus on the second, third, and fourth items here. The second item is analysis/critical thinking. This dimension quantifies the ability to break down a question/problem into components that correlate with symbols, definitions, and concepts introduced in class. So this is about breaking down a problem, and then the next one is about the synthesis of a solution. So synthesis/problem solving. It quantifies the ability to utilize symbols, definitions, concepts introduced in class to achieve an objectively defined goal. So there are certain things that I want you guys to accomplish, and how are you going to do it using what we have talked about in class. And those things would include, at the lowest level, the symbols. At a medium level, it's going to be the definitions, and at the most abstract level, those are the concepts. And performance is also going to be one of the dimensions. It quantifies the familiarity and efficiency of performing critical thinking and problem solving. In other words, it is not really just whether someone can do it, it is also measuring how quickly someone can do all whatever is being asked to do. Why is performance important? Why am I using these specific dimensions? That's because you can expect these to be the dimensions that will be used when you get a job, and your boss needs these to evaluate whether to give you a raise, whether to let you continue to work at a company, or you might or whether to let go of people who are not meeting the expectations. So you can kind of look at this class as not really just a regular class, it is more or less a preparation for your career. So we might get to that in just a little bit too. So almost everything, sometimes I may not exactly use 0 to 4, but it's going to be about the same. In other words, in terms of the scale, it will be a 0, a 25%, a 50%, a 75%, and a 100%. So the question is, what does it mean when somebody is getting a 0%? A 0% usually means no work is submitted, or the submitted work shows no evidence of the ability to analyze and think critically, nor the ability to synthesize or problem solve, and unless otherwise specified, anything that does not work, code that does not compile or assemble, will also get a 0. The submitted work, okay, a 1, which is also a 25%, means the submitted work shows some but insufficient evidence of the ability to analyze and think critically, the ability to synthesize or problem solve. Familiarity and efficiency do not matter when there is insufficient evidence of the ability to analyze and or synthesize. So it is basically there's a little bit of evidence but insufficient. A 50%, which is also what we know as a letter grade of C. What does that mean? It means the submitted work shows sufficient evidence of the ability to analyze and think critically, the ability to synthesize or problem solve. But the submitted work also shows evidence of incomplete and or incorrect understanding of the material, and also insufficient familiarity or efficiency. So a 2 means, yeah, I can see some evidence or sufficient evidence showing, the ability to analyze and think critically, or the ability to synthesize or problem solve, but there are some other issues with the submitted work. A 3, which is 75%, or a B, is corresponding to the submitted work provides sufficient evidence of the ability to analyze and think critically, the ability to synthesize or problem solve, complete and correct understanding of the material. However, the submitted work also shows evidence of operational mistakes and or omissions. So these are not conceptual, as opposed to number 2 is referring to things that are actually conceptual. Or there's room for improvement in terms of familiarity and or efficiency. And then 4, which is 100%, or the letter grade of A, means the submitted work provides sufficient evidence of the ability to analyze and think critically, the ability to synthesize or problem solve, complete and correct understanding of the material, operational correctness, excellent familiarity and or efficiency. So that's approximately how I break down, the 5 grades. Okay, because a 0 is equivalent to an F, a 1 is equivalent to a D. And late policy is easy. There's no late policy, so turn your work on time, not in time, but on time. Okay. In terms of the assessments, we have 4 different categories of assessments. The first one would be the homework assignments and lab activities. They all add up to 20% of your grade. The first exam by itself is 20% of your grade, the second exam is 20% of your grade, and then the final exam is 40% of your grade. So at the end of the semester, I just add up all the points, and then when I assign the letter grade at the end of the semester, it's going to be based on this scale here. So after I add up all the points, people who get 0% will get an F, people who get 25% will get a D, people who get 50% will get a C, this would be 75%, and this is going to be 100%. So as you can see, each percentage, cannot be just a line, in the number line. You kind of have to spread, horizontally. So an F is actually from 0 to 12.5%, excluding the 12.5. A D is from 12.5% to 37.5%, but excluding the 37.5%. A C is 37.5% to 62.5%, excluding the 62.5%. A B is from 62.5% to 87.5%, excluding the 87%. and then an A is from 87.5% and up. All right, so this is the topic schedule. It's tentative, so most of the time I will get all of these things introduced. May not be in exactly this order or using the duration as suggested in the schedule. Um, for the most part, things will be following the order in the class in the Canvas site. So that's it for the syllabus.